Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on November 2nd, 2024 at approximately 4:34 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life purpose to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I personally use to make just about every decision I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked for literally thousands of other people with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. So today we are going to look at the reality of motivation. And I'll tell you, I could go into the details of it, but I'm not going to because, as you know, on the whole, I don't use people's names or where the connections are. Okay, unless they're in the chat room, at which point I'll tell you. But before I get into any of that, we do have Storm in the background there handling security and tech. And rest assured, that's been a fun job today. Okay, but he also is the one that makes certain that if somebody comes in that's going to cause a problem, as the saying goes, he's kind of like Santa Claus. He's got a list there. He checks it twice. If you're a pain in the neck, regardless of your name, you're not going to survive. But this does not mean, well, you'll survive, but you won't be in the room. But understand, this is not Storm being a bully. This is Storm making certain I don't have another heart attack due to stress. Now, then we have LA Moon who is in. And yes, LA, I did actually have supper before I sat down. Not only that, but I did manage to get a nap in this afternoon anyway. Turns out I found out how I can sleep 5 hours in one stretch. I just have to stay up for 22. Now, right off, now I know I saw Wu come into the other room, but due to technical difficulties, now there we are. Nicely done there, Wu. Wu, since you are here, we'll leave you with the gold. We had a glitch with the technology, and we had to restart the stream. That's what happened yet. So we're still leaving you with the gold. Okay, Operation Shutdown. You are in with the silver. Nice to see you again. And then we have Susan Ahern is in with the bronze. How you doing, Susan? Oh, glad you liked it. Glad you liked the show. It was a lot longer than I was planning, but it did result in me being up for 22 hours and then actually finally sleeping 6 hours in one stretch. Now, let's see if we've got anything. Anyway, okay, now, today we're going to look at the reality of self-motivation. Now, something happened today. I'm not going into details. Let's just say it was not good news in one sense. Okay, now self-motivation is just that. You find it here. Okay, you find it in your own heart. You don't find self-motivation in the approval or acceptance of others. Okay, that's just the reality behind it. So, I am going to point out at the top of the stream, there is a link. There's a link to buy me a coffee. Okay, and in that link, all three of these books that we're going to look at are literally, they're in that stream, each one of them available anywhere in the acceptable world, as it were, i.e. if we can get them there, they go there. $20 Canadian, mail delivered. I am not traveling all over the world. But we start with the first one. Believe in yourself and follow your dreams. Now, the reality is these are very simply put together, and I did it that way for a reason. The technique of figuring out who you are and getting yourself motivated, even without all the intricate details. Okay, And I could do this real easy and go, oh, see the book, and I've seen people do this. Okay, here's a book available. All the answers are right here. Just $20. Well, I got news for you. Stay tuned and we'll go through what's in it anyway. But I will still tell you, having a reference manual, especially one that's that thick, I think this one is like 16 pages. Okay. Nope, 22. I think it's 22. If I get my hands to work, that'd be really handy, really convenient. Okay, well, I'm just not going to fight with it anymore. There we go. 20 pages. Now, here's the thing. Why make it so small? When you look at it, there's lots of really good self-help books out there. This one, what I did was go, okay, first, let's break it down to the bits and pieces. I did not add a whole bunch of, oh, here's somebody that used the book, and here's the reports, here's a testimonial that says it works. Okay, in many of the self-help books that are out there, you'll find lots and lots and lots of examples of other people that have taken their life, they've taken hold of their life and went, I'm not happy, so I'm going to change the way it's going. And here's the tools that they followed in this book, and here's the success they had. Okay, now, I could have done that, but as I told my mom, when I shattered my right leg, right, when I destroyed the whole configuration on when I was a kid, okay, I tore my left leg apart, my right leg apart, to the point that the doctors told me I'd never walk again. They were wrong. But Mom tried being nice. And she says, look, your brother's friend down the street, he broke his leg. Now, I didn't break my leg. I just peeled all the bone and muscle, all the skin and muscle off it. But Mom looks at me and goes, look, your brother's friend down the street, he broke his leg. I looked at her and I said, Mom, not to be callous, but he could have broken both his legs and his arm, and it still wouldn't make me feel any better. Okay, this is why I didn't bother including a whole pile of examples. Oh, did you catch that, Storm? Susan Ahern has posted, I may need help. I was able to buy coffee, but I couldn't buy the book at the same time. That one, there we go. Now, I told Mom that. So this is why I didn't bother. Okay. I didn't bother to put all these extras because honestly, if somebody else was successful, it doesn't matter. Okay. It's great for them. Don't get me wrong. But you've got all kinds of people you've already talked to, undoubtedly, or heard about or read about. Heard about or read about or whatever it was. You don't need to buy another list of people's experiences. So we start with this. And one of the things I have been told by a number of people, okay, is that this book is very small, very to the point. And what it has done, a number of people have told me what it did is make the other ones make sense. Now, myself, it made sense in the first place. So let's get down to it, shall we? The first chapter in the book. Now, bear in mind, each chapter is standalone. Okay, we start with that. Okay, and the reason I did that is because each chapter is important, but you may not desire to read it in the same way. Let's face it. There are 22 pages and 4 chapters plus the intro and the conclusion. We're looking at 4 pages to a chapter. So what I did with it was I went, okay, Here's the tool, and here's why you don't desire to do it. Now, I could have said, here's the tool, and here's the person I'm referring to, which, rest assured, that goes through my head a lot. Oh, there we go. LA's just letting us know where it comes to purchasing books and what have you. BMAC doesn't seem to like multiple purchases. Okay, so you have to buy each one at a time. Oh, just to put it in perspective, what I do when an order comes in is I give myself 3 business days to get to the post office, because these they literally all get mailed out by hand by me. Okay, and that's always fun. That's quite often fun. But I give you the tools in here and the primary reason, or the most common reason, people don't desire to do it. Okay, so let's take a look at chapter 1. It's a real important one. You get to read the introduction because I'm not reading this book. Okay, but we take a look at it. Whoop. And where are we? Okay, the first thing that you look at is literally put a smile on your face. That's what I was looking for. You put a smile on your face. The reason you do that is twofold. Okay, now you can look at it in a real simple fashion. You can go, I'm going to put a smile on my face, and go with the old axiom. Smile. Keep them guessing. Personally, I do it because I'm lazy. Okay, well, in all fairness, I don't do it as much as I probably should. But from my understanding, it takes about 4 times as many muscles in the face to frown as it does to smile. Now, you'll notice I don't do a whole lot of either one. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I'm lazy. But there's a lot of reasons behind that. But put a smile on your face. You're not always gonna feel like smiling. I give you that. Okay, maybe your day's been going really bad and you don't see a point to smiling, or something's really overshadowing what's going on, so you just can't bring yourself to smile. This is where stubborn streak comes in first. Okay, stubborn streak is this. Turn around. You turn around and you smile anyway. Okay, one of the other really big reasons people don't like smiling is, well, I don't like the way I look when I smile. Well, let's face it, I'm not saying go to the mirror and practice smiling. You can do that if you choose. But what I find is a lot of people tend to look at that and it comes up more like a sneer. And what do we got here? Just got to double check something. We got Operation came in with the silver. Susan came in with the bronze. And we have Ferret is in with honorable mention. How you doing, Ferret? Glad you can make it. I'm not suggesting you go look in the mirror and put a smile on your face. I will tell you, you're not the one that's going to be looking at it. So, even if you have to force a smile to start with, do so. Okay? One of the biggest reasons to do it, and I forget the exact drug, but the exact chemical, I believe it's serotonin, that the simple act of smiling releases. Now, this is why you put a smile on your face. If you don't feel like it, force it anyway. It may look a little weird, but it still will help other people pass on a smile. Okay? As the saying goes, laugh and the world laughs with you. You don't believe me on that one? Watch some of those little baby clips you've seen with a little kid laughing. Okay? But it goes on to say, it says, laugh and the world laughs with you, cry and you cry alone. Uh-oh. There goes. Haven't been around. Big changes, busy adulting. I've got a pair of socks that my youngest bought me for Christmas, I think 2 years ago. And on the bottom of it, it literally reads on the one foot, it says, "If you can read this, I can't adult today." Okay, but it really is, Storm. Storm goes, adulting is highly overrated. The fact of the matter is, we are all going to get older. It is up to you if you're going to get old. Now, if you really can't force yourself to smile, grab some makeup. Okay, I'd recommend the circus makeup instead of using the really expensive stuff. Okay, paint a smile on your face. It has the same impact on other people. And besides that, you paint a smile on your face, you may have this other neat little thing where you get thinking about how silly that might just look. That will help. Yeah, Storm's got the other one. I may grow older, but I refuse to grow up. Absolutely. Now, I got hit with an interesting situation that brought it home. Maybe, and I will warn you about this, where it comes to self-motivation, maybe you don't have any support, even at home. Okay, self-motivation is just that. It's what you do from here for you. But you start by putting a smile on your face. Okay. Now, the other neat little thing, about a smile, it's the one gift you can give to virtually anybody, and very few people will complain that you gave it to them, and very fewer yet will refuse to give it back. And nobody seems to complain about getting a smile back. Okay. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. I ran into one guy. But a smile is a gift that costs absolutely nothing to give. Okay, to make. Except a little bit of energy. Nobody complains when they get it. Nobody on the whole complains when it gets returned. So that's where we start. Okay. Now, when we look at that, we go into chapter. It would be really nice if my hands worked. But, that's one of those things that's just kind of annoying. Something I do want to point out. This, one of the people I've dedicated this book to, okay, I've known, well, quite literally, the guy that taught me how to communicate with people at all, okay, came from a very different world than I did. So we start off with the idea of smiling. Okay, that's number one. Now, who do we got coming in here? We have Rachel Andrews has just shown up. How you doing, Rachel? Now, chapter 2, well, actually it's chapter 3. Once you go into that, where are we? I'm just scanning through the book to make sure I cover what I'm dealing with. It seemed to be the way to go. Now, next step, once you've got that smile on your face, take a look in the mirror, take a look inside. Ask yourself, literally, what are you not content with? This is not a question of looking at the things that you're happy with. Okay. Take a look at yourself. Are you happy with what you see, what you feel inside? Okay. If you're not content with a habit, for instance, let's say, let's just go, you're not happy with the idea of smoking. Okay. I do have a cure for that. We'll get to that on another day. Okay. And yes, I call it a cure because of the number of people that have used it. Okay. And we have Rachel has just come through the door. How you doing, Rachel? Glad you could join us. Now, you take a look. Ask yourself, what are you not content with. Things that you're happy with, hey, you don't have to change them. Stay the course. But the ones you're not content with, and I'm talking about the way you feel, the way you see yourself, those are the ones that you start modifying. Okay, for instance, if you get really stressed out on phones, and this is a trick I personally use, I don't like the stress I go through when I get a phone call from somebody that is trying to sell me something and I don't desire to deal with it. Okay, I literally have come to the conclusion, pick up the phone. If they say something you're not happy with, it's really kind of neat. Even cell phones have this function. The old phones, when they were the hard locks, you take the old dial phones, okay, you had to put it back on the cradle. Well, welcome to the modern world. You can take this phone and you can push a button and hang up. Okay, works out very nicely. If you're on a phone call that you're not happy with your response, there's people who phone me up and I'm like, I cannot deal with the stress from them. But you take a look inside yourself. Ask yourself, what are you content with? Now, some of these tools I've mentioned before. Now I bring back to your attention the 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Take a look at the boundaries you've got. Are they working for you? Not, does anybody else like them? That's not the catch here. It's, are you content with the boundaries that you're putting in? And are you follow number 2, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. You got boundaries in your home or in your life. Clearly, you'd like people to follow them. With this in mind, whether you're going into somebody's home, into a business, talking to a stranger, doesn't matter. Follow through with the same idea. Treat them the same way you desire to be treated. Okay, I ran into a wonderful scenario today. I tried explaining something because they asked me a question. The individual asked me a question. I went to give an answer. They cut me off and went off on their own tangent. I've reached a point where if people don't desire the answer and they ask the question, and this is just my own boundary, okay, where if somebody asks me a question, I go to answer and they cut me off, you're not getting the answer, okay? It's the same as when it comes to phone calls coming in. But this is a question of going inside your own body and going, where are my boundaries? Okay, and remember, karmic law number 3, energy out, energy in. The way you treat others, whether we're talking people, plants, animals, doesn't matter. The way you treat other people, that's what's coming back to you. Now, I'm certain you're not doing it with the intention of causing yourself a problem. Okay, but I can tell you wholeheartedly that if you're treating people like garbage, they're going to treat you poorly. Okay, think when you go to a restaurant. If you treat the waitress in a decent fashion, the odds are you'll get decent return, decent service. Now, where are we here? Now, again, guys, if you've got questions, absolutely put the question in all caps in the chat room. That way I can find them. And I'm absolutely certain, because Storm and LA stay in the room. Okay. I'm absolutely certain that if they turn around, if they see one that I've missed, they'll bring it to my attention. So once you get the boundaries in place, and absolutely get a list. Write the list out. If you've got boundaries, write it down. Okay, I've literally got a doc file I'm working on and to do a complete self-analysis. Now, the 4th step that we're looking at, okay, is literally going without. And what that is about is take a look at the way your house is. Okay, take a look at your physical environment. If you've got a whole pile of clutter around, I'll tell you, the energy in the house is going to be bottlenecked. Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, that's right. See, I locked you out there, LA. You know, when it rains, even though I tore my leg apart at 12, I didn't. The reality is that I did not get arthritis out of the deal. Okay. That's the only lucky part of that. Well, it's a big one. But when we take a look, when you look at the world, at your physical environment, now I've covered this a number of times before. Okay, the idea is that the state of your home, of your house, of where you're living, is a reflection of the state of your mind. With this in mind, it stands to reason that the state of your mind is also a reflection of the state of your house. But I will tell you, it is so much easier to move stuff around in your house than it is to move stuff around in your mind. Okay. Yeah, we've done the pin trick before. We're not going to do that because I don't desire to go get it. Okay. But that's the 4 major steps. Okay. Decide that you desire to make a change. And I will tell you that even if you're looking to build your own confidence, okay, your own self-worth, sometimes you do have to borrow the faith of others. Okay, until you can develop your own. Now, to be honest with you, I've drawn a lot on you guys to get that faith that what I'm doing is having any functional benefit. Okay, I've struggled with that my entire life. Okay, but you guys have helped a lot. And the reality is this. Sometimes if you can't find the motivation, sometimes you gotta borrow the faith of others so that you can borrow their motivation to get up. Okay, because I will tell you, the best doctor on the planet can tell you if you don't change your behavior, you're going to die. Well, if you don't feel the drive for it, you're going to run into an interesting problem. Okay, because all the cajoling, all the encouragement in the world, if you don't desire to change, you're not going to. This book is literally, as a matter of fact, all of them are literally there to give you tools that have worked. Okay, 61 years old, I'm still breathing. Rest assured, that's a remarkable feat. Okay, now, that is, and like I said, we're talking $20 only. Okay, and we are talking Canadian, which for some weird reason seems to be a pretty low value. I don't know why. I personally figure a day's work for as I was told decades back, an honest day's pay for an honest day's work. I don't see why somebody living in a different country, why their effort is more valuable than the next. Okay, it's the same reason I don't see whether you're female or male, or even dog. If you can do the same job, get the same pay. It's that simple. But this book, very short, very easy to work with. Okay, but that's the first one that I put out in the series. Then I turned around and we went on to this one. Believe in your business and follow your dreams. Now remember, these tools apply to all of it. Okay. Let's just see what I did here. I am literally revamping my entire life based on what I've already looked at. Okay, now, when we take a look and believe in your business and follow your dreams, okay, this is, again, a way to motivate. Now, understand, a business, you may think business, corporation, or, major company. Ouch. I tell you, you got to get a bigger thing to sit on there. Last I checked, LA, ibuprofen is not that big to sit on. And you're certainly not going to get a dining room table on it. Of course, you might be able to do that on the computer. But most people, when you start looking at business, most people go, oh, you're talking these great big corporations like auto companies or the big department stores, or maybe you're looking at it going, oh, it's a little restaurant, it's a family run business. Here's the real kicker to it. Okay. Running your household is a more complicated, and well, it's really not that more complicated. That is one of the most important businesses in existence on the planet. Okay. Even if you are simply running your own house and you got nobody there. Okay. So the first thing you do is take a look at your house. Now remember, these 4 tools apply across the board. Okay. But the thing you do, now you'll notice with this one, I went and put a light bulb here. In all fairness, my printer did. Okay. You got an idea. You've got a business. The first thing you got to do is look at what you're aiming at. What do you desire your business to look like? I am not talking about specifically what it is. I'm talking about, do you desire it to be there? Okay. Get an overall idea in place of what you're looking for. Now, when we talk about a plan, okay, I'm talking about look at the business. Do you desire your house to run smoothly? Most people that have a business have this idea. I'd like it to run smoothly. I'd like it to, be comfortable and draw profit. Well, if you're running a household, the profit does not come in the way of you making money. It comes in the way of you not spending it. And we'll get to that in a little while. So you start off with an absolute plan. That boils down to look at where your house is, okay, or look at where the business is. If you're just opening it, get the plan in place first. Now, I will tell you there are variations that happen. But the first thing where it comes to a household, it's going to be local. Okay, where it comes to running your own business. In my case, running positive perceptions and positive perspectives and the books I've been writing. Okay, I intend this to go absolutely global and generate an income high enough for me to live. Okay, now the neat part about it, where is my brain box? Just to give you an example, like I've mentioned before, I require $2,500 coming in. Okay, now 2,500. What? If I'm making $10, in what? I divide that by. Okay. Now here's a neat little thing. These books at $20 a pop. Okay, after expenses and what have you, I need to literally only sell $250 a month. Okay, now I could charge more, but really, does that help? You have to have a plan. In this case, I put these at $20 a piece so I can afford to rebuild my stock. Okay, which means, yes, I've got to make a profit. But you start with a plan. And if you don't know how to make a plan, that's no problem. Okay, well, it is a problem. Talk to somebody that's done it successfully. Now, to be clear, and this is going to sound absolutely stupid, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you about it. Okay, I am not the one to talk to about marketing. Because clearly that's not working. And Ellie goes, kids are a profit. They absolutely are. I can safely say there is not a single parent out there that could have had a kid without having a partner. Okay. And yes, you can absolutely go the route of artificial, but I'm just, while we could get down a really bizarre road there, we're not going to. Okay. There are benefits to having a safe, a properly run home. but you get the plan in place. Where it comes to business, if you're looking at opening a store, are you looking at opening for instance, just a corner grocery store? That's all you desire to do. That's all, I shouldn't say all, but your goal is I'm going to open a local corner store or a local family restaurant. That's all I desire. Okay. If that is all you desire, let me ask you this. Which is more beneficial to society? Okay. A well-run, happy home or a well-run, absolutely humongous industry? Which one is actually the most important of the two? That's something you just take a look at. But you set a plan in place. Once you've got the plan in place, okay, once you've got a structural plan, if you don't know how to do it, okay, talk to somebody that does. Now, I can lay plans out for you. I can ask the right questions. I really should have started acting on these myself decades ago. I just about said centuries. I should have started on it decades ago, but put a plan down on paper in point form. Okay. And again, in here, when we're talking, when you go through the last chapter, it tells you again, take every project, break it down where possible into 15-minute to half-hour tasks. Once you do that, start going through them. You put the plan in place. The second part is the greatest one. Okay. Act on the plan. As Robin Williams, a phenomenal comedian, in my opinion, from years ago put it, there are thousands of plans for peace and no action. All the planning in the world, all the writing in the world won't matter one iota if you don't actually act on it. It's just not going to work. Okay. You've got to get off your tail feathers. Okay. Once you've got the plan in, once you've started acting on the plan, now comes the communication part. If you don't tell people what you're doing, okay, then what's going to end up happening is you're still not going to get a return on it. Now, I talked to a gentleman one day that there were 4 fast food restaurants in the place. And I noticed he was opening a new one. So I went and I asked him, I said, I got to ask you, why, with 4 fast food restaurants on this corner, why would you turn around and put a 5th one in there? He looks at me and he goes, well, it's simple. The average person at the time, this was decades back, the average person is spending about $1,500 a month on advertising. Okay. So I've got $6,000 in advertising here. So I put another fast food restaurant in here, make sure the signage looks like so you can see it. And I put a poster up on the wall. I spend $15, and I put a poster on the window. I just spent $15 to get $6,000 of advertising. Okay. Advertising is a way of communicating. Now, here's the neat part about it in my eyes. Like I said, of these little books, all I got to do is sell 250 in a month. Okay. Now, if I take my little brain box here, another name for a calculator, 250 we divide by 4. All I need to do is sell 60 books a week. Okay. You divide that by 7. How about if we divide by 5? Okay, because I take 2 days off. So I'm looking at selling a staggering, consistent 5 books a day. Okay. Now, yes, I could charge you. I can make it a thicker book and go, okay, it's 100 books. But I'm going to fill it with a whole pile of information, such as other testimonials that other people have been successful. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm sitting here depressed and I'm reading a book and it says do this and here's all these successful people. Tell you where that leads. Okay, I made the stupid move of following through with that. Okay, I listen to people saying these advertising companies are going to help you. They've helped me. I had all this wonderful luck. That was great. All the thousands I spent didn't generate me a plug nickel. Now, and this bothers me greatly. Okay, Storm comes in, doesn't charge me a thing. Okay, sets up the buy me a coffee. Okay, he knows where I'm standing financially. I've been very clear with that. He sets it up. I have made more money in the couple of months that we've had buy me a coffee up and running than I did in the last decade spending thousands on advertising. So it's very necessary, once you've got an idea in mind for your business, talk to the people around you. If you're looking at your household, absolutely talk to your neighbors. Let them know what you're doing to make your house run smoothly. I'll tell you, if they're not happy with theirs, they will take that as a hint in most cases. If they know they're not happy, you'll become a motivation for them. Okay, now, when we look at that, you've got the business, you know what you're doing with it, you've got the planning. Now, here's the kicker, and this is just my opinion. Okay, you can turn around and go, I'm going to open a business. Now, I don't know about you guys. Up here in Canada, when I first opened, I was told you don't have to have a business license to generate money out of your house. However, what I found out was if you actually have a business license, as in a business name, people will see it as more of a professional approach. However, the reality is if you're not communicating, that's not going to matter. Now, we go a little bit further. You've got a restaurant, a small grocery. How do you know when to expand? Okay, and again, in here, I give you the tools, and I'll tell you why you don't desire to. Okay, how do you go about expanding? Or more to the point, when do you go about expanding? Okay, well, the kicker to it is this. When you're looking at your income in a business, now this clearly doesn't exactly apply to a house unless we are talking about having your house and then picking up rental properties. Okay, but you take a look at what you're making off a property. Okay, if you're looking at rental properties and you've got the rent coming in, look at what you're making in net profit. Okay, now how do you know when to expand? That's the easy part. And I'm going to stick to restaurants for a minute. Okay, when your restaurant is making enough money, okay, to cover the cost of running another restaurant. Once you've got that kind of surplus coming in and still covering the expenses in your own place, like let's say it simply costs you a whopping $5,000 a month. And yeah, I realize that's insane. Okay, so let's up it to 10. Let's say it costs you $10,000 a month. Okay, to run your company. Okay, now I'm telling you that's probably oversized, but it's an easy number. You do not expand to another outlet until you are making $10,000 a month, so that the income coming in is covered by the first store. Okay, by the first restaurant. When your profit is literally enough to cover the running of the current restaurant and the running of the second one, that's when you look to expand. And absolutely, there's no problem there. You know, you're going, well, how do I put the money aside to build the building? They have bank loans for a reason. Okay, but you include that in the cost of running the new business. Okay, now, once you've got two up, you've got two streams of income coming in. Okay, combined, you require those two streams to cover the third one. Okay, as you can see, the more you have, the faster it comes in. However, if you're not controlling it at a baseline, it's not going to work well. Now, that is ultimately when we are looking at running a business, that is ultimately what you're looking at. Really should put my eyeballs on. So hopefully this is making sense. One of the important factors that we look at, okay, is once you've got this idea, you desire your life to change. Now it's time to start acting on it. Okay, and remember, a business is not just running a company. The business of running the home, in my opinion, is the most important aspect that you're going to run into. Because if your home isn't running properly, I will tell you, I've seen this happen a lot. You got a house that's not a home that's not running well, you open a business. Now you split your attention between home and business. And the sad part? More often than not, home literally comes up. Home is one that usually suffers. Okay, because, we sunk all this money into the business, we got to make it go. More often than not, I see a business come into play when the home's not stable. The business takes precedence and the home collapses. Sad to say, guys, home collapses, business goes out the window. Okay, now there's something else about running a business. And this applies in a home as well, with the sole exception if you're the only adult in the home. Okay, if you're the only person in the home, then you get all the decisions and all the work. When you've got a couple of people in the home, if you've got a partner, two things we got to remember. One, okay, and this again is how to run your business. Your business is your home. I agree with you wholeheartedly there, Rachel. Rachel's just going, restaurants have been closing. Food prices have gone up so much that they need to raise the prices and not getting enough people able to afford it anymore. I could go into all kinds of hiccups there. And maybe one day I should do that. What do you think? I spent 26 years in restaurants. And this is something I can do that we can do a show on later. If you guys figure it'd be functional. There are things that are being done very ineffectively in restaurants around the world. Do not kid yourself. We are not talking about a problem that is only in Canada or only in the States. This is literally globally. Anywhere there is a restaurant, the same problem is happening. Okay, when you're looking at running a home or a business, okay, one of the biggest things we have to look at is this. There are two aspects to a business. Now, my parents, where it came to the home, I never saw them fight. I don't recall them having one fight. What they did was they went, okay, Dad had control of the outside, Mom had control of the inside. Okay, and like most kids, we'd go to the other one and go, well, Dad, can I do this in the house? But Dad's response was, did you ask Mom? Well, no. We'd either go, well, no. And Dad look at us and go ask Mom. Or if we said yes, Dad would go, well, what did she say? Well, she said we couldn't. Well, then why are you talking to me? This is why we didn't have a fight. Why they didn't have a fight. In a business where you're employing people or where you've opened up a partnership, if you're a sole proprietor, guess what? You get the decisions. But there are ways around that as well, and we'll do that on a different day. But if you've got a partnership in a home, it's the same thing. You guys have to be on top of the finances together. Okay. If you're not on top of the finances together, you're going to have a problem. But there's two sides to a business. Okay. And we'll stick with the restaurant analogy. Okay. You've got the front end, as in dealing with customers, and you've got the back, which is dealing with the maintenance, with the bills, that sort of thing. Now, people talk about, oh, if you're going into partnership, be certain you go in on a 50-50 base. I'm telling you, profit and loss, absolutely 50-50. Authority, pick one of you to take 51% of the control up in the front of the house and 1% on the books. Here's why. If you are 50-50, nobody's got a clear, decisive ability to make it work. When you give it 51, if you guys run into a bit of a loggerhead, the one of you that's got 51 goes, this is what I'm doing and what we should do. And if you pick the right partner, you'll be able to make the business grow. Okay, there's a lot that we can do. Okay, that I've seen done. And like I said, I spent 26 years in the restaurant industry. Okay, but it boils down to a shared effort. Okay, now once you've got that, now your company can grow. And again, if your company is, you're a household and you've got a little money and you desire to open rental properties, okay, one of you handles the tenant relations, okay, one of you handles the upkeep and the bills, okay, you split it down in that fashion. Again, it works. Don't take my word for it. Look at what's being done right now and see how well that's working. Now, that happened, and this is when we look at the business. Okay, and again, this applies to anywhere in the world. I don't care if you run electricity out of an igloo. Good luck with that, by the way. Okay, the people up north, number one, they don't all live in igloos. And number two, the ones that do don't have electricity. I don't know why not. I mean, water conducts electricity, which really paints a bad picture. What do you think's going to happen if we turn around and you take an igloo made out of ice and snow and run an electrical current through water? Okay, how well is this going to work for the people living there? And yet there's a staggering number of people. I live in Canada. There's a staggering number of people that go, oh, you're under ice and snow. I'm telling you, I'm still walking around barefoot. Okay. Of course, no sense, no feeling. What do you do with it? Okay. Now, that's running the business. And like I said, running a house is running your business. You have to believe it's possible. And let's not forget this funny little detail. Okay. This neat little sign. Okay. For you to become successful in business, in life, in your home, I am worth it. Take this sign. Okay. Absolutely. Get it onto, get it onto your fridge. Get it onto the front, like in my case, I've got it on the front door. I've got it on that wood, which I keep there. I've got it right over top of my desk, over top of my computer. I've got one up on my fridge and one on my front door. And I kid you not, I've had people stop and ask me why I put that on the front door. If you're running a business, okay, and it doesn't matter what the business is. I hate that. Sorry about that. Shade Viking, how you doing? Glad you could join us. If you're running a business having that sign visible will literally help bolster the energy of the people around you. Okay, just strangers looking at it, just reading that sign will help them. Okay, now let's take a look at the next thing. And this is the one that causes a staggering amount of problems. Believe in your finances and follow your dreams. Okay, now, finances are a real neat little thing. And they are not as complicated as you might think. The one thing that can be complicated is if you don't know how to track where your money's going. I'm not talking budgets. My personal experience is this. If you're trying to run a budget, okay, a budget requires you've got a definitive amount of income coming in. If you've got a budget, okay, and you've got a definitive amount of money coming in, yes, a budget works. Tracking it and seeing where you're spending it is far more valuable, in my opinion, and quite frankly, in my experience. But the first thing you look at, okay, and again, these tools are literally laid out in each book. Okay, Storm's going, or sorry, LA Moon is going, Storm and I have a good arrangement. We run it together. Either of us can stop the motion and say, I need more information before we go forward. That solves a lot of fights before they start. Again, guys, this is the issue of communication. Okay, absolutely critical. Now, when you start looking at your finances, okay, you literally look at it and go, okay, what do I have for an income? What is coming in? Okay, from all sources. Whether we are talking work, maybe you've got a government check coming in. Maybe you're on social services. Maybe you're on EI. Doesn't matter. And maybe you've got a trust fund that's coming in. Take a look at your monthly income. What is coming in? Okay. Now, here's the neat thing. We get told, those of us that are struggling with money, we get told, consider, consistently. Well, I hope I can beat that record, LA. I know my mom and dad did, but LA is going, we've had 3 quarrels in 26 years. Okay. My mom and dad had none in 60. Okay. I've been with my other half for 4. We haven't had one. But it's not about who had the most quarrels or who didn't. It's a question of, in today's world, so many people get into a relationship, they have a fight, and they go, poof, I'm going elsewhere. They don't stay with it and work through the hiccups. Now, I will tell you, where it comes to running a household, I told my other half flat out, lie to me, the odds are the relationship's going to falter. Cheat on me, there won't be a falter, it'll be over. I will not even bother to try and put it back together. Okay, but conversely, I also won't lie to her or cheat on her. Yeah, Storm just clarifying. The quarrels were about other people's actions. One person may have been able to take it a little easier. I'm not great at taking things. But when we look at your finances, figure out what all of your income is. Now, once you've done that, take a look at all of your expenses. Okay. And the way you do that is you literally, you take a sheet of paper or a spreadsheet. In today's world, computer and paper are the same thing. Okay. Write down all sources of income. Itemize them. Doesn't matter what order, in all fairness. But you itemize what's coming in. Then you list off all of your bills. And we'll get to exactly how to work that out. Okay. But you take all of your bills and list them off. List off what they are, what the total is, and what the monthly cost is. Okay. On all of them. This means, rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, transportation, and bear in mind, insurance means household, your household insurance, your vehicle insurance, health insurance. Okay, and if you've got and I suggest you have medical insurance. All of these are types of insurance, and the thing is, insurance is a funny thing. It's an expense that has to be taken care of in case of a problem. So yeah, you could say, well, I'm spending money on insurance. I never use it. But if the bottom falls out, having that is rather convenient. You list off all of the bills. Don't worry about the order just yet. Okay? You literally list them all off. Now, yes, in this book, in Believing in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams, this is all itemized for easy reference. And the neat thing that I did with all these, at least I think it was neat, is we go in here. Whoop. And in between each chapter, I've got a page that is literally, it says, for notes. So you can make notes for yourself right in the book. Okay? But you list off all your expenses, whatever they are. Okay? Once you've gotten now, don't forget, this also means any bills, any debt that you have to friends and family. Like, let's say a brother has loaned you money. Or maybe you've got an aunt that gave you a loan. Or a mother. Okay? It's a bill. There it goes. We've had some major challenges with aging parents recently. My partner and I have been working hard at overcoming these. And the day to day irritations are set aside. And this is the idea of communication. And well done, Ferret. Aging parents can be an extreme stress. I can only imagine what my boys are going through. Because right now, my partner is not living with me. So they don't have that benefit. But now you've got your list of a bit of expenses, of bills, all laid out. These are literally your rent, your utilities, your insurance, any subscriptions you've got, any kind of lease you've got. These are all bills, including the ones that are, let's say, a family member or a friend said, here, I'll loan you $10,000, don't worry about paying it back. Okay, or whatever they're loaning you. Even if it's, I'll loan you $100. Okay, don't worry about paying it back. I'm telling you, put that in your list. Not because of the fact that you still owe it. I will tell you, people that are loaning you money, if they tell you don't worry about paying it back, you still, in my opinion, pay it back. But you get to do what you will with that. Now, you take that list of bills. Okay, and it may only be a dozen bills. Maybe a lot longer, depending on where you are. Do not make the mistake of trying to figure out how you got there. Because you can't change it, you're there now. Now, you take your bills. You sort them into the following 3 categories. Okay, you start with your living expenses. Now, what are living expenses? Well, that's your rent or your mortgage. Okay, your vehicle lease is a bill. It's an ongoing bill. Your monthly payments on your utilities, on your vehicle, on your insurance, and yeah, get this one. Make sure in your day-to-day expenses. LA's gone. My folks are both passed on. Storm Zone folks are facing challenges now and refusing help. It's been difficult it's been difficult, and I can commiserate. Here's the thing. You cannot help people you can. It's extremely difficult to help people that don't desire help. And it's even harder for kids to stand by and watch the parents suffer, or vice versa. Okay, and that's something we'll have to deal with at another point. But when you're dealing with any of the bills, any of the loans, okay, write them down. Now we're going to split the bills into three categories. Okay, one, the first category. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I trust today is going well for you. We will see how that goes. I do hope that, with all of you guys, Nathan comes on tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Okay. And, he usually has some really great topics to work with. Okay, so absolutely drop in, give him a listen on the Quantum Show. Now, LA goes, we've had to do it. What they let us help with. Yeah, no doubt. She goes, what they let us help with, we're on it quick. Absolutely. Now, when you start breaking the bills down, 3 categories. You got your living expenses. These are utilities, rent, insurance. Now, here's the thing. You've got to put money aside for savings and money aside for entertainment. Okay, these are things people have a tendency of overlooking. Include them. Okay, those are in your first list. Oh, and 1 credit card. I don't care how many credit cards you have. 1 gets listed as a critical bill, as a living expense. In today's world, they're kind of a necessity, especially with so much going on with online shopping. Okay, so you turn around, have those listed on your first. Now, those get paid before anything else. By the way, top of the list of living expenses, 1% goes to you. This is $1 out of every 100 goes to your pocket, and $1 out of every 100 goes to your partner's pocket. Okay? Reason for that is by paying you guys even before you pay rent, if at all possible. Okay? You change the feel of the money from I'm working to pay my bills to I'm working and paying my bills. Now, that's the first stage. The second group of bills are the interest accruing debts. Now, interest accruing. This means if you've taken out a loan, okay, or a credit card, or a lease, and they're charging you interest on it, okay, absolutely critical. Those get targeted first. Now, you take all of those, cluster them together. That's your second set of bills. Okay, you cluster them all together. Now, when you put them all together, okay, you list them off. Here's what the total is. Here's what the interest rate is. Here's what the minimum payment is. Scrap the interest rate. Here's what the total is. Here's what the minimum payment is. Okay, now, you take a look at them and you list them off. Monetarily speaking, what bills, what interest accruing debts do you have that are the most, monetarily speaking, the biggest number? List them from biggest monetary balance to the lowest. Okay, now, when you do that, what you do is you look at your minimum payments. If at all possible, make the minimum payments. Then whatever's left over, okay, and we'll get to the third set in a minute, okay, whatever's left over after you've made your minimum payments, take the balance of what's left over, apply it to the smallest, monetarily speaking, interest accruing debt. Okay, in other words, let's say you owe $10,000 on this bill, and you only owe $100 on this one bill that is charging interest. Pay the $100 bill. pay it off. Here's why. Now, I'll tell you why you won't want to do it. Virtually every financial advisor, and bear in mind, I'm not a licensed financial advisor. This is just what I found works. Okay, but you start knocking off the lowest ones first. You write them off. The reason you do that is because, mentally speaking, it is easier to cope with one big bill than 15 little ones. And once you've cleared off the little ones, now you start chipping away at them, working your way up to the biggest one. Meanwhile, still paying your minimum payments, if at all possible. Okay, now let's go to that third batch. That's the bills that are not adding interest. These are things like a friend loaned you $500, and they say, I'll loan you $500. Pay it back when you can. It doesn't mean you write it off. You put it at the bottom because you start paying those bills off once all of the ones that are accruing interest are written off. You're not walking away from any of them. Okay. Now, I will tell you, once you've done that, this is why you track what money's coming in and what isn't. Okay, it's absolutely critical you stay on top of it. Because if you don't stay on top of it, you're going to run into other hiccups. This is just the reality behind it. Now, here's a couple of things, just a couple little tidbits that go hand in hand with that. If you're buying, and I furnished my house for years on rent-own. Many of you do the same thing. Bad idea in my opinion. I did it for years. Now remember what I told you. If you're looking at doing something, talk to somebody that's done it. Okay? I spent thousands on payment plans. Let me go. Yeah, LA goes, when I see them, I'll smile and remark positively on progress. They'll talk to me and storm now. So it's a process. It always is. Okay. Striving to help other people is a royal pain in the neck. Okay. Especially if they're resistant to it. But here's a couple of neat little pieces I stumbled across. Okay. Number one, if you're considering bankruptcy, yeah, there are things that it does work with. I personally am 100% against it, having gone there twice. Okay, because in my experience, the only people that actually benefit from bankruptcy are the bankruptcy trustees. Okay, you made agreements, and quite frankly, you couldn't fulfill them. That happens. I've got a few that are like that now. Okay, the company that loaned you the money, or that you were making payments to, they don't get all of their money. And they loaned it to you in good faith. But you can bet your bottom dollar, if you go bankrupt, the bankruptcy trustee is going to get every dollar he's quoted you. Every one of them. He's not going to take a cut rate. He's not going to bring his bill down. Okay, not in my experience. Now, here's the other neat little thing. In a rent-to-own, okay, and rent-to-own companies are great if it's something you require right now. For instance, you blow your stove, your fridge, your freezer, your washer and dryer. These are things you have to have right away. A rent-to-own in a case like that works. If you gotta go that route, do so. Okay, but if you're talking about replacing your couch, okay, unless your couch got burned up in a fire. Okay. What came in? No. If your couch gets burned up in a fire, it falls under the category of requiring an immediate replacement. If not, if you buy something like, for instance, I did really like this couch, I'm going to buy it. Okay, here's the thing. They'll give you a week by week or a month by month payment plan. Often a 2-year payment plan, maybe a 1 year. But here's the kicker. Look at the basic cost of it. The odds are paying rent on, you're going to be paying 4 times what the thing is worth. Ian, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day has been going well. Now, you're going to be paying 4 times what that couch is worth. Okay, and besides that, by the time it's paid off, it's already worn out. It's already 2 years old. If, on the other hand, if you take a couple of months and put the money aside that you'd have to be paying on a rent-own, put it aside month by month. Maybe it's let's say it's $1,000 couch. Okay. And they're going to charge you $100 a month. They're going to charge you $200 a month over 2 years. Okay. For the rent-own. It's a great setup for them. But if it's only $1,000, you take that payment they were talking about, put it aside. Now, if they're charging you $200 a month, and you were willing to pay that, put the $200 aside. I don't care if you put it aside and leave it on the counter, but I recommend a bank. Okay, but you put it aside, $200 a month onto that thing to buy that couch. In 5 months, you buy the couch outright. Brand spanking new, paid off, it's in your house. This is why, where it comes to rent-own, it works great if you have to have it. Okay. Now, the other idea. Let's get a car loan as compared to a lease. Okay. No problem. Okay. Again, now that's a big purchase. You're going to have to get a loan. Okay. Here's the neat part about it. If you're getting a loan, if you take a loan where it says, buy this on payments, no interest for 2 years. This is fantastic. But what they don't tell you, in most cases, and I cannot speak for every company, okay, in most cases, what you end up with is people turn around and let's say you've got a lease, or not a lease, you're paying for something, you got 2 years, no interest. This is fantastic. What they don't tell you, and they certainly don't tell you outright, it might be in the fine print, I don't know. But this is why I say double check the fine print. Because in my experience, if you have not paid every cent of that loan off by the end of the 2 years, they will put all of the interest from the entire bill back on the top end. Okay, this is why if you're looking at a payment plan with no interest, clear the thing before the end of the bill. Before the end of the interest free. Okay, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Now, I will tell you this. Okay, that this is an issue of making certain you look at what you've got. Now, you don't have a lot to work with. If you're working on a limited budget, I'll tell you, you may have dug yourself into a crater. Absolutely, LA. And that's a good point, so let's deal with that. I mentioned LA is going, credit cards do this as well. Absolutely, they do. Now, here's the thing with credit cards. I mentioned at the beginning, I don't care how many you've got. At one point, I had 9 myself. But here's the kicker to it. With a credit card, most financial advisors will tell you, never spend more than 30% on a credit. Like never, whatever the limit is, never use more than 30%. So if your credit card limit is $1,000, never spend more than $300 before you clear it. I'll tell you, myself, personal experience, and I've dug myself into a crater and a half with that one. Okay, I had to live on credit. But when it's working properly, number one, you take one credit card, whichever one, doesn't matter, put it in, certainly make sure that one credit, if you've got one like it, no annual fee. Okay, far better than the interest rate thingy. No annual fee. One goes into your utilities, it's a critical bill. But with all credit cards, okay, never go over 10% of their balance before you clear it. Okay, if you do go over 10%, bring it down under the 10% before you add more. Okay, so let's say you've got $1,000 credit card. Okay, and you have to, for whatever reason, you spend $150. Do not spend another nickel on that credit card until it is back under the 100. Okay, now if you're already overloaded, if your bill is already up and it's still got room on it, there's no problem there either. Okay, there's a lot of tricks with credit cards. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay, if you've already got a lot on your credit card, but you've got room to operate, and let's say you spend $50 on, you've got the room for it, so you spend $50. Turn around, take that 50. Okay, now credit cards on the whole have 3 weeks before they add interest. Okay, so you wait the 2 weeks, pay off whatever you spent plus a little bit. Okay, that way you're keeping the numbers down. Now there's a lot more tricks that we can look at down the road. And these are ones that I use myself. I dug myself into an absolute crater. Okay, and it's going to be a while. I may well lose one of my credit cards because I had to live on them because of stupid ideas, as in trusting companies to do what they said they were going to do. Okay, but with a credit card, when you spend the money, and now here's the neat thing. You can actually earn money with a credit card. Okay, I know that sounds absolutely insane. Credit cards don't earn money. Nobody makes money from credit cards. This is where you are mistaken. So hear me out on this one. And again, we are still looking at your finances. Knowing how to handle them is the key to making things work. Okay, but when you look at a credit card, let's say you've got $50 in the bank. That's your budget for groceries. Okay, and you've got $50 room on the credit card. Most people will tell you pay for the bank. Use the money, use the cash. Leave the credit card alone. I'll tell you flat out, bad idea. But you gotta follow through. Okay, because you're walking a dangerous road. You take you go down to the grocery store. You've only got $50 in the bank. That's it. You don't spend more than $50 on the credit card. Leave the 50 in the bank. Okay. 2 weeks down the road, because remember, 3 weeks before they charge the interest. 2 weeks down the road, take the 50 out of the bank, pay the credit card. Okay, well, if you spent 50, take 60 out of the bank, but pay the credit card. You now pay no interest on the credit card, but you've earned a little tiny bit of interest on the money in the bank. Now, it may only be a couple of cents or a couple of dollars. It's still more than what you had. Now, you think about it. On the dollar, let's just simply a number. You pay 20% on your credit card. Okay, you only get 1% on your bank. Okay, so you do what I just laid out. Buy with the credit card and then pay the credit card off in 2 weeks. Number one, there's an old saying that literally goes, a penny saved is a penny earned. Okay, so what you do there is you look at it, you spent the $100 and you didn't pay the 20%. You've now made 20 cents. You're up 20 cents. Plus the 1% interest you made still sitting there. You're up another, you're up another penny. So you're up 21 cents. That's not great. It's tiny money. That's what I said. But up 21 cents as compared to down $20. I'm telling you, you're better off. Don't take my word for it. Run your own mathematics. Okay? It's just that simple and that complicated. It requires a stubborn spirit, a deliberate focus. Okay? And you may have dug yourself into a major problem. Okay, I will tell you, I've got 2 credit cards. I've got no income. So I've been living, well, I've got now starting to get a little bit of income. But I'm pretty certain I'm going to lose 1 credit card completely. I'm pretty certain I am. But in today's world, you only require 1. So at 61, I'm letting another thing collapse. Rest assured, that annoys me way more than I'm saying. Okay, but now here's a couple of other things. Now that's where the credit cards come in. They can earn money. Okay, the other thing, take a look at your grocery bills. Okay, this is another one of those neat little things that can help. And all of these things, you'll see you're rising in either the clarity of your house, your finances are starting to climb, maybe you're getting these neat little dreams in place. Okay, and I should get back to that, so I will before I finish. But you've got these little dreams in place. Okay, take a look at your grocery bill. Now, the grocery store I buy from, at the bottom, when it tells you, it'll go through all the different coupons, all the different sales. Okay, it will tell you in the one grocery store I go to, and check yours, because I have no way of telling you which does what. If it tells you how much money you saved, here's what you do with it. Okay, now it does require, this part requires 2 bank accounts, and that's it. 2 for your personal, 2 for your business. 1 is an active account. The other is a true savings account. The only true savings account is if it charges you no service fees. No annual fee, no service, no nothing. The money goes in, and if it goes in, it doesn't charge you anything. The banks will take that money and invest it. They absolutely will. They will make money. Quite frankly, who cares? As long as they're not taking yours. Let's say you bought $100 worth of groceries. Okay, and let's say the bill says you saved 50 cents, and that's all you saved. Doesn't sound like much, does it? Most people will turn around and they will go, okay, I've got that 50, so I can buy a chocolate bar. Good luck with that. Okay, that 50 cents it said you saved. Immediately upon getting home, move the 50 cents into, okay, you move the 50 cents into the savings account. Because if you don't move it over there, and I do recommend, if you've got one, a tax-free savings account. And again, I'm no financial advisor. This is just what I've found. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, if you don't put it in a savings account, you're not saving it. Okay? It's just that simple. This is why you have one. Now, the reality of it is that, and Joe, I'm looking at this. Joe Monk goes, I don't have a checking account, a savings account, or any credit cards. I gotta ask, how do you run your life with no bank? That, and to me, that's just a little confusing, but hey, what the heck? Okay. But if you don't put the money into a savings account, okay, what ends up happening is you spend it. It's no longer saved. It's just redirected. These are simply ways of handling what you're doing with your finances. Okay. Now, maybe you're in better shape, and absolutely, like I said, I'm no financial advisor. You know, I'm no financial advisor at all. But with that in mind, don't mind me, I think I've got a spider. Just dropped in front of my computer. And I'm going like, where the heck did that come from? But that being said, you know, the funny thing there, like Joe's going, there's a way of screwing the system by not using the system. I will tell you there undoubtedly is. Okay. These are not the only tools. Okay. These are just the ones that I've used and thousands of people have turned around and used. Where do we go? Oh, that's cute, Joe. Now, here's the neat thing, and we can get to that in a little bit. Okay. What we're talking about is figuring out how, and this is why I say my method is not the only one, but you find a method that's working for you. And here's the easiest way to tell if your finances are working. If your stockpile, because understand something, I'm 61 and got jack in my savings. If you're younger than I am, start now. It may not amount to much, but start now, because the reality is sooner or later you're going to have an income, or you're going to have cash put aside. There used to be this idea of put the money in your mattress. It's a great idea. And then of course in Canada we went to the loonies and toonies. Well, it's kind of like putting, rocks in your bed. Put that and sleep on that, because that's comfortable. But when you've got a method that you're content with, okay, the easiest way to tell if you're handling your finances effectively is this. Do you have more in your bank, in your savings pile, in your pot of gold than you had at the end of the month? Do you have more in the bank than you had at the beginning of the month? If you're spending less than you're generating, you're on the right track. If you're spending more than you're generating, you gotta either increase your income or decrease what you're spending. And I will tell you, there comes a point where decreasing the spending doesn't work. Okay, there's only so far down you can go. Now, the reality is, I can't afford to lose where I'm living. Because where I'm living right now, it would cost me triple to live in any other place for the amount of room I've got. Okay, but your finances, it boils down to this. We take a look at the three things that you've got. Okay, 1, believe in yourself and follow your dreams. This takes care of you. Now, you feel better at the end of the day than you did at the beginning of the day. You're making things work right. Whether you're using this method or you're using one you yourself have. Okay, if you feel better at the end of the day, as in you feel like you got something done or you got something to look forward to, okay, you're dealing with the believe in yourself part effectively. When we look at believe in your business and follow your dreams, okay, if your business is generating more money than it's costing you to run it, you're handling the business properly. If your staff and or your partner feel better and more secure about your company at the end of the day than they did when they started, you're doing it right. Okay, you're doing it effectively. Finances. If your money at the end of the day is higher than the money at the start of the day, you're on the right track. That's sad, Storm. Oh, heavens, Joe, no. But I will tell you, in my experience, investing in a company that pays off, well done. You hit a nice run. Okay. You hit a nice run. Literally every investment I've made, whether it was guided by a financial advisor or not, the only time that I've ever made money on an investment myself is with a GIC. That's the only time. So I look at that. That's not war profiteering. That's simply investing in the right company. Okay, give yourself a pat in the back for it. But it doesn't change any of the rest of it. It's just simply another method of looking at the income and looking at an income source. When we take a look at things, the reality of it is this. Okay, some of you will do better, some of you won't. And here I am sitting here saying, here are tools that work. And many of you are going, well, if they work so well, why aren't you doing better? That's easy. Okay. When I was growing up, I came to understand that every time somebody got a lot of money, they became absolute dipsticks. And I watched relationships collapse because money became the dominant thing. I never developed even an interest in it. Net result, I didn't pay attention. I'm telling you now, okay, if you're younger than me or older than me, doesn't matter. Money is required one way or the other. You're going to have it. The tools I've been talking about work. Okay. Now, as we determined earlier, and I don't know which day of the week I'm going to look at. Okay. But we will do a show for those of you that are interested and for those of you that aren't on how to actually make a restaurant work. Now, I will tell you, I'm the last person to ask to go into the kitchen and cook. Well, not necessarily the last person, but I rank down there. Okay. The reality of it is this. When you're looking at your life, if you feel better overall at the end of the day, and bear in mind, we got threefold. We've got your personal outlook on life, your business outlook, which, by the way, is a household, a company, or whatever. Okay. The nice little part about it, okay, is you've got that as a second. Then you've got your finances, the material world. Okay. Now, when you do that, you got threefold. If two of them are on the rise and the third one isn't keeping up, you're still in better shape. It's still two on the positive side, one on the negative. Okay. It is a point of keeping it balanced. Absolutely. Okay. Now, there are so many variables. Okay. So many variables that go on that take place. There is no way I'm going to cover all of them. However, as individuals, yes, my finances are a mess. Therefore, if you desire to avoid the stupid moves I made, that's where talking to me can come in real handy. Okay, and again, at the top of the stream, you'll find a link that says, you'll find a link that says buymeacoffee.com/innervoiceJ. Okay, for individual guidance, whether it's personal or business, you can reach it through there. Okay, that's the important factor. Okay, this is just a way, because the more you start making movement, okay, when we take a look at it, Every time you have a success, no matter how small it is, I'm telling you, you will feel better. This will enhance your motivation. And this is why, regardless of what anybody says out there, what you feel here, if you feel you're making headway, that counts worth so much more than if somebody else figures you are. Okay, these are just some of the things when we're talking about self-motivation. Self-motivation literally means look in your own heart. Are you feeling better about you and about the progress you're making than you did? Are you feeling more and better at the end of the day than you did at the beginning of the day? One of the things you got to look at. Well, you don't have to. You get your own choice. Okay, I'm in the process of doing a complete self-analysis, and this is why I say these are things I should have been doing since I was in my early 20s, not waiting till I'm 60 and go, now I got my back against the wall. Now I'm going to lose more. I know this. Okay. But all I've got to do, and this is why I kept these small. Okay. At $20 a book, anywhere in the world, assuming mail goes there, so we'll qualify it that way. You live in the middle of the Congolesian jungle, my guess is you don't have a computer to get this. But if the mail gets there, $20 for any one of these books. Okay. I'm adding the fourth one to the series, Believe in Your Organization and Follow Your Dreams. It's in the middle of being written. Okay. All I gotta do, at $20, these fit in your pocket, easy enough to do. They're written in point form for one reason. Okay, I kept them small. If you really have to reread the chapter, they're short. Okay, and yes, I give you the tools, and I also do my best to tell you why you don't want to use them. The reason I did that was because I figured if I knock out the biggest reason you don't desire to do it, then if I can eliminate that argument, perhaps you can eliminate the minor ones. All I got to do is literally move 250 a month. Okay, meaning a dozen books a day, over the course of the month. Where are we here? Just a curiosity thing. If we take 2,500 and we divide that by 22 work days, yeah, that'd be an interesting mathematical calculation. Anyway, all I gotta do is start moving the books. That's the easy part. Okay, all you gotta do is listen to this podcast again. It's free. Everything I've just covered is absolutely free. Okay, but with that in mind, you do have the capacity yourself to change the way your world is going. But you gotta believe that one little detail. I am worth it. The changes have to come by you getting off your tail feathers and moving forward. Okay, make changes to what you're doing. If you keep putting things off, procrastination has never gotten anybody anywhere very quickly. Okay, but self-motivation is a simple matter of you make a little bit of a step forward, you're going to be happy. Take a look at a kid and a child learning to run and learning to move. Storm goes, my favorite book as a child was called Blood. It was a 300-page treatise on structure and the process of the human circulatory system, providing me with a lot of info regarding human fragility. Now, in contrast to that, my favorite book as a young teenager was The Hobbit. Okay, however, I have read just over a third of a nature encyclopedia now, and I read an entire medical encyclopedia a little while ago. Okay, so am I looking for information? Absolutely. Well, Joe goes, my favorite book was called Wolves and Men. Explains the structure of the wolf pack and how it relates to human interaction. Here's the neat thing, Joe. If you read that book, I ended up meeting, and some of you guys my age, and I don't know if you're my age actually, Joe, but when I was in elementary school, I met Farley Mowat and his Timberwolf. Okay, and I'll tell you, if you think a Timberwolf is just another dog, no, way too big. That is just twisted, Christine. The neat part about it is information is useful. Okay, but here's the kicker. Data, you can get a lot of data. Listen to me, talk to somebody else. I am not the best of the best. I am not a millionaire at this point. Assuming I live the next 6 months, I'm probably going to get 20 to 30 years out of the deal. If I don't, this stream will end in a real abrupt run. Okay, but this is why I've had to turn around and actually focus on the whole idea, on where the finances are. Yeah, Monk and Joe goes, wolves are the Anunnaki of dogs. Pretty much. Simply put, they are absolutely huge. And of course, as a 6-year-old, as a 6 to 8-year-old, they are absolutely phenomenally large. See, I ended up being a medical experiment. Just a slight twist on the whole idea. And definitely became a medical anomaly. But the important factor at this point, when we're talking about self-motivation, we can look to the past and you can go, okay, I made all these mistakes. And rest assured, I made a staggering amount of mistakes. Okay, but they were true ignorance. I didn't know any better. Okay, for whatever reason, nobody could get through to me the idea that money down the road would matter. The fact of the matter, every time I saw somebody with money, okay, almost every time, everybody I met that had money treated people like garbage or absolutely destroyed their life. Until I met one chap, and I only ever knew his first name as Paul. Not the alien Paul, just Paul. Okay, he lived on the street by choice, was one of the nicest people I'd ever met, right? And he had $960,000 in the bank. Okay, but it was not until I hit rock bottom here, where I am literally, like I told my little brother, okay, I literally feel like I'm drowning right now. I get a little bit of a boost, get my head above water, and right back under. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to hold that, but I'm doing what I can. Unfortunately, with a stubborn streak, I can get away with that. Okay, but self-motivation means literally, regardless of what anybody out there tells you, if you look at yourself and go, I desire to feel better, watch, when you're looking at your weight, keep an eye on it. I recommend checking only one day on, I recommend only checking your weight. If you're looking at dropping it, check your weight once a week, totally naked, on the scale at the same time. I do mine on Monday morning or on Sunday morning. Okay. If you're looking, and if you'll get an idea of whether you're dropping. Finances are easy. If your cash supply is climbing, okay, you're on the right track. If you spend more money than you're making, you're in trouble. So figure out what you're doing. Either cut back on your spending or increase your income. Christine, I think that's called snack food. Just my idea. Christine goes, Joe, how would you compare coyotes to wolves? I would imagine coyotes would be the pigeon of the dog breeds. Oh, heavens no, teacup poodle's a pigeon. The nice little part about it is when we are talking about self-motivation, this is a question of spot what you're making. Like, I'm looking at the clutter in my house. As I get a shelf cleared off, I feel better. Okay. As my weight drops a little, I feel better. As my finances start to climb, I feel better. This is the thing that generates self-motivation. Where are we here? There we go. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Joe lives in Sierra Nevada. He's got bears and mountain lions and wolves and coyotes. You got wolverines there? Hey, here's one. Here's one. I like this, Joe. You name it, I got it. I can lay odds pretty solidly you don't have polar bears. But self-motivation boils down to, are you feeling better about every time you do something that you feel uplifted by? This is where you draw your motivation from. I will tell you, your biggest obstacle is yourself. Second is those close to you. If they're not encouraging you and they're not supporting your idea, and I will tell you, if you have an alcohol problem, this is going to be hard. Been there, done that. Okay. I was an alcoholic. Okay. If you've got friends that you think are friends and they're going, let's go have a drink, come on, that's not helpful to you. You gotta pick the people you're around. Okay. But it's a question of going, do they fit with those boundaries we talked about here? Back in believe in yourself and follow your dreams. Okay. Set your boundaries and stand by them. You gotta be true to you first. Now, I just looked at the time here. Okay. And guys, from that standpoint, I want to thank you so very much for joining us today, for sharing your time with us today. What is this? We are looking at, okay, now, tomorrow. Yeah, I really do thank you for sharing your time. Hopefully this has made sense. Okay, that being said, tomorrow we're going to be looking at the art of creative writing. Okay, until then though, absolutely, do take care of yourselves. That'll be tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. PST. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes,